There's actually a winery that is quite interesting because it's elevated, but it's also kind of nestled in between Lake Hennessy and Pope Valley. So you have the influence of multiple location, multiple climate, including a famous fog that sits in hot days until 11 or 12 midday. And that helps really ripen the phenolics of the grapes, along the sugars. So later in the season, it becomes a little bit cooler because sometimes with these elevation and inland, it can become almost too hot. Do you agree with that?
Totally true, yeah. And the fog, as you mentioned rightfully, helps a lot also to keep the great acidity whilst the phenolics are ripening. So we're pretty lucky to have such a weather here. It's very unique in the valley, I think. Originally from the north, very close to Belgium, when there is absolutely no vine growing whatsoever. But then my first experience with wine was with Saint-Julien and Pauillac, which got me into wine. So I kind of like this style, pretty bold, pretty round, pretty big, tannic, and something that carries and has a lot of ageability potential as well. First experience in the US was 2013 in Napa.
Actually, believe it or not, Bastien and I have known each other for about 20 years. Since I tutored him when he was 12 at Lensbach for mathematics and German. So he counts and speaks really good German still today, right, Bastien?
Absolutely not. I'm good at math, but I'm very bad in German.
And he was your teacher, man.
Tutoring me, yeah.
And they let you in the country still? Wow, that's crazy.
I didn't mention that when I crossed the border.
That's probably a good idea, yeah.
So we make mainly Cabernet based, Cabernet Sauvignon, of course, Cabernet Franc, but we also make a Sauvignon Blanc and a Petit Syrah. We have really old Petit Syrah vine, and it performs extremely well in this location. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
True, yeah. But Petit Syrah that I've tasted here, actually, that's the best I found. And I say that from the wine that was made before we even arrived here. In the valley, I was very surprised about the quality of the grapes and the quality of the wine that was available for the Petit Syrah. So I think our focus is also to make that Petit Syrah shine the best, to see if it could be the hype of Chiles Valley, but the Cabernet Sauvignon was growing very well as well, and our Sauvignon Blanc with the acidity that we mentioned earlier is pretty crisp, so I kind of like that as well. We also have old vines of Zinfandel, because Chiles Valley is pretty historical in the Napa Valley, and those Zinfandel are particularly fragrant, and I like working with that as well. 91?
And the Zinfandels are 40 years old vines with an average production of 1/4 of a ton to the acre. So it doesn't really translate into economical success or logic, but the wine is really outstanding. So, it's really a commitment to the past, I think. And Maxville is a huge part of the past. I mean, this used to be the Catacula winery, so it's an old Napa family that has created that estate, until they purchased it. What was the exact year when they purchased the property?
For Maxville, it was in 2014.
2014, exactly.
I arrived in July 2020.
Pretty much 6 months before Bastien arrived. I was asked, because Camille Benita, who works with the team, used to be the head winemaker there, and so Anthony, the CEO, asked Camille to see if we could come back. And who better than the guy that I knew from so long, knew his talent, his precision, talking about Bastien, to come in and kind of manage the day-to-day winemaking, make the wines, and really run that. And about 6 months ago, we were asked also to manage the business, so to take kind of the general management of the company by Anthony. So it's a fun venture, because it is a little bit away from the beaten path. I mean, you're 15 minutes away from Silverado Trail exactly, but it's 1,000-acre property, which encompasses so many different experiences that people can have. We have a shooting range, we have ATV tours, we have hikes that you can do, we can do sunset tastings, and it's really in the middle of nature. So everything was really created to make sure that we're self-sufficient. We have now 100% solar powered. We have caves in case of any shutdown power. We have a generator in case we need to be off the grid. So it's really reinventing, in a way, self-sufficiency, to ensure that nothing that nature's throw at us, despite a major catastrophe, could kind of take away the team from doing their job.
Besides its particular weather, its history that's also carrying it, it's not as fast, I would say, as the rest of the valley. It's not as quick. It's more for people that are looking into getting an experience, getting some time. And you can spend and enjoy a little bit of time, take a good breath, and enjoy the nature around you without being rushed by the rest of the city or the market or how it's handled in the valley. So we kind of like that here. And people that are walking or driving up here, we're trying to make it worth the drive. That's one of the questions I ask them every time they come in here. Is it worth the drive? And all of them so far have been, yes, very much so. And we will come back just for the views and hopefully for the wines.
Yeah, the product, as far as the product, the wine is concerned, obviously we have these fogs that we talked earlier about that keep the temperature down and protects that acidity. But we also have elevation. And by having that elevation, you have colder nights, and that also helps a longer, slower ripening process. We're actually, you would think that we have very early ripening. We're not. We're actually really late ripening most of the years on Cabernet and Petit Syrah. So you actually really delay harvest, and that really gives the fruit complexity a completely different angle. It gives an angle of layers, of structure, and not just the usual lushness that you usually found in warmer climate sites. I have a few of them. It depends in what field or in life. I think, when you grow up as a winemaker, you also grow up as a person. Therefore, you have people that set certain standards in your life that you follow. My father, my uncle, my godfather are people that really helped me when I was looking on what direction I should take in my career. Was it law school, which I did 2 years of? Was it going to be med school? And then, of course, you have the winemaking people, right? Michel Roland, obviously, I've known him for 20 years. But Daniel Yoz also from Lynchbach and AXA Millésime, who's a guy that oversees all the AXA properties and that could walk in a cellar and really take apart a pump and fix it because it's not working, despite the fact that he's a god. I really enjoy the people that understand that everybody teaches you something. I think wine is never made alone. Wine is always a team, but you're nothing if the wine is not drank and enjoyed. So actually the importance of the consumer themselves is also that, because it feeds the winemaking team with freedom of doing what they want. So it's really important for me to have that feedback, the return. So I'd say, my dad, my godfather, my uncle, Michel Roland, Daniel Yost, but every consumer, because they feed us with impressions, with emotions, for us to be able to readjust the product and hopefully better it.
Yeah, besides the family, because definitely the support of my parents and most likely my mom through my entire path to find out that wine is a passion that I wanted to pursue. That was pretty long. She supported that greatly, which was a good thing for me in the end. Definitely Jean, who was the one that I always looked up on when it came to winemaking, and valued his opinion and advice very gratefully. Michel Roland, as well, as you mentioned, that I got a chance to meet throughout working with Jean for the wine, was a wonderful encounter. And everyone I got a chance to work with at this point, at any given position and level in the wine industry, definitely taught me something, whether it's on the winemaking or in the business. And as far as education is concerned, I would say Denis Dubourdieu was definitely a teacher that talked to me. Mm-hmm. www.maxvillelakewines.com.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.